From the late 1970s to the early 1980s, the European Cup was dominated by English teams. From 1977 to 1984, all but one of these European Cups was won by a non-English team. The victories of Paisley and Fagan's Liverpool sides and Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest have gone down in legend. But the European Cup win from this era that perhaps does not get the attention it should is the 1982 final. Aston Villa reached the final in their first ever European Cup campaign and defeated Bayern Munich by 1-0. Despite this being an incredible achievement, it isn't spoken about as much as Nottingham Forest and Liverpool's victories, but it is still a great story that deserves to be held in high regard. This is the story of when Aston Villa won the European Cup. Aston Villa were founded in 1874 by 4 members of the Villa Cross Wesleyan Chapel in Handsworth. They won their first major trophy in 1887 with the FA Cup, and 1 year later would be one of the founding members of the Football League. They experienced great success around the turn of the 20th century, winning 5 First Division titles and 6 FA Cups between 1893 and 1920, including a double in 1897. They would struggle to replicate this success for some time, with only 1 more FA Cup and a League Cup added to their collection. But in the 1970s, the club started to gather momentum, winning the League Cup in both 1975 and 1977 under the management of Ron Saunders. In 1980, Liverpool had won the title for a second year in a row, and they, along with the likes of Arsenal, Manchester United and Ipswich, were expected to compete for the title. But Villa emerged as a surprise package. Saunders installed strong levels of fitness in his squad, and although his players were often ignored for international duty, Saunders would use this to motivate them. The likes of Tony Morley, Dennis Mortimer and Gordon Cowans impressed spectators with their attractive brand of football. Striker Peter With was brought in from Nottingham Forest to replace the departing Andy Gray. Saunders had formed a dedicated side that would fight until the end. He rarely rotated his squad and encouraged players with knocks to carry on fighting. Before the club's opening day fixture against Leeds, Saunders stated, "The fans will back you, and with 110% effort you can win every game. Go up there and prove everyone wrong. You are title contenders." A win over Liverpool in January started to give the side belief that this could be their year. The title race came between Villa and Bobby Robson's Ipswich. With 5 games to go, Ipswich defeated Villa, and it looked as though the title was lost. But Saunders did not give up. Villa would win their next 2 games and draw the one after, overtaking Ipswich. Villa lost on the final day against Arsenal, but Ipswich couldn't take advantage of their games in hand, and the title was heading to Villa Park. Villa had won the league only using 14 players throughout the entire season. Saunders had won the title focusing on his team as a unit, rather than individual ability. Aston Villa would enter the next season's European Cup as winners of their domestic division. It was to be their first ever time playing in the competition. Astonishingly, Villa made only 1 signing, despite their squad having been stretched away for thin the season before. Scottish midfielder Andy Blair was brought in from Coventry, but apart from that, it would be virtually the same squad facing up to the European challenge. Villa started their league campaign poorly. They lost their opening 2 games and were going to draw 6 in a row. Injuries to Gary Shaw and Ken McNaught did not help the situation either. It seemed as though the league title would not be retained, and so, when the European Cup arrived in September, it was vital that Villa made an impression. The draw was kind to the debutants, as they were drawn against Icelandic side Valur Reykjavik. The team were formed of part-timers, with a teacher, economist and radio commentator forming part of their lineup. Unsurprisingly, the Villains won the home leg convincingly. Tony Morley opened the scoring on the 6th minute, before braces from Peter With and Terry Donovan sealed a 5-0 victory. Villa travelled to Iceland for the return leg as a formality. Young Gary Shaw had scored twice in a 2-0 win for Villa, and their place in the second round was sealed once and for all. They faced tougher opponents in the second round, East German outfit Dynamo Berlin. Dynamo Berlin had faced Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest in the competition before, and had given them a strong scare. Villa were well prepared though, having defeated the East German national team 4-2 in a pre-season friendly that summer. Villa would travel across the Berlin Wall for the first leg. The game started ideally, with Tony Morley opening the scoring in the 5th minute. Villa took a step back and tried to absorb the pressure of the East Germans, but Dynamo equalised through Hans Reidiger in the 50th minute. Villa had lost their advantage, and in the 80th minute, Dynamo Berlin were awarded a penalty. Arthur Ulrich stepped up to take the spot kick. He fired at goal, but it hit the post. The ball deflected off goalkeeper Jimmy Rimmer on the way out, giving Ulrich a second bite of the cherry. He tried again, but Jimmy Rimmer pounced again, and he parried the ball over the bar. The scores remained level as both sides looked for a breakthrough. In the 85th minute, Dynamo Berlin had a corner. It was swung into the box before being cleared out by the Villa defence. Dynamo Berlin failed to capture the loose ball, and it bounced to Tony Morley midway in his own half. He tapped the ball past the Berlin player before continuing to sprint with the ball across the pitch. Even with 2 Dynamo Berlin players chasing him, he could not be stopped. He approached the Dynamo box before tucking the ball beyond the goalkeeper and giving Villa the win. Aston Villa emerged from the Iron Curtain with 2 away goals. The return leg would be played at Villa Park 2 weeks later. Aston Villa, despite the home advantage, could not find a breakthrough. Frank Terlecki gave Dynamo the lead in the 15th minute, and with Villa leading on away goals, their advantage was hanging by a thread. Dynamo pressed for that all-important goal to take them through to the quarter-final. Jimmy Rimmer was on hand again and saved a chance from Reidiger. Villa were able to hold on and advance to the quarter-finals on away goals. Here they would face another Dynamo behind the Iron Curtain, Dynamo Kiev. But Aston Villa were facing major issues going into the game. Their league form was not matching their European form. They had been knocked out of the League Cup by West Brom and began February in a woeful 17th place in the league. And things went from bad to worse on the touchline. Ron Saunders shocked English football when he resigned as manager, after a row with major shareholder Ron Bendel. Saunders had demanded a rolling contract with a 3-year payoff if he were to be sacked, but Bendel declined. Saunders, as a result, handed in his resignation, stating, "If I'm employed to run a football club, then I'm not an office boy." Tony Barton, who had become Ron Saunders' assistant in 1980, was promoted to the position of manager, initially on a caretaker basis. He had never managed before, but had a role akin to that of Peter Taylor by being the one who had discovered so many of the players that had won Villa their league title. Amazingly, Ron Saunders hopped across Birmingham to manage Villa's bitter rivals, Birmingham City. The 2 sides locked horns soon after, and Tony Barton got his first win as Aston Villa manager in the match. Villa fans had felt betrayed by Saunders, who after giving the club 8 years of service, 2 League Cups and a league title had joined their arch-rivals. His time was over, and now the stage was Barton's. Villa improved under Barton, and the side went back into Europe with improved confidence. Whilst the game was initially scheduled to be played in Kiev, it was moved due to icy conditions. The game would be played in Simferopol, a city in Crimea. Villa were not happy with how they were treated, and had to bring their own provisions, as Gordon Cowan discovered a dead cockroach in a bread roll provided by the hotel. Despite the confusion, Villa managed to hold the Ukrainians out, coming home with a 0-0 draw. The return leg did have doubts, with the pitch at Villa Park being in very poor condition. Many volunteers ended up helping out to improve the pitch, by putting large amounts of sand across it so that the second leg could be played. Aston Villa comfortably sealed their place in the semi-final with a 2-0 win. An early goal from Gary Shaw gave Villa momentum, before Ken McNaught scored shortly before half-time to settle the game. Tony Barton was awarded with a 3-year contract after the win, and he would guide Villa to the semi-finals, where they were drawn against Anderlecht. Tony Barton travelled to Belgium before the game to watch the side in action and take notes. They were a side known for their defensive solidity and counter-attacking ability, so it was going to be some challenge for Villa. Once more, Tony Morley was the hero, scoring in the 27th minute. Anderlecht could not penetrate the villains, and so Aston Villa would travel to Belgium, having not conceded an away goal. The return leg in Belgium was sadly an ugly affair, with violent scenes occurring in the stands between the unsegregated fans. 27 arrests were made, with 20 spectators injured. Villa held out Anderlecht with a 0-0 draw. Their place in the final was in question when Anderlecht demanded the tie be replayed, or Villa be kicked out due to the violence on show. Fortunately, Aston Villa were given a fine and told their next home European match must be staged behind closed doors. Whilst it was sad that ugly scenes overshadowed a brilliant achievement, it was time to focus on the final. Villa finished the season in 11th place in the First Division. They would travel to Rotterdam to play the final on the 26th of May 1982, where they would face West German giants Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich were understandably favourites to take the trophy, having achieved a three-peat of the European Cup in the 1970s, and boasted the likes of Paul Breitner and Karl-Heinz Rummenigge in their side. Aston Villa took 23,000 fans to the Netherlands for the final, for the biggest night in their history. The Aston Villa players had a surprisingly relaxed attitude going into the game. During the warm-up, they were seen waving to their spouses in the crowd, and even took photos of each other on the pitch. Brian Clough, who was commentating on the game for ITV, stated that he couldn't believe the team had reached the final. Tony Morley, who had done so much to take Villa this far, epitomised their laid-back attitude. He met associates outside the stadium to give them tickets, whilst Bayern Munich was still warming up. He only got into his kit around 20 minutes before kick-off. Captain Dennis Mortimer had belief going into the game. He stated, "In the week leading up to the final, I started thinking about how Liverpool and Nottingham Forest had won the previous 5 finals between them. It occurred to me, why not us? I'd seen Phil Thompson lift the trophy, and he was in the year below me at school." The game kicked off, but disaster quickly struck. Jimmy Rimmer had hurt his neck in training the previous day, but after taking painkillers, decided to soldier on. But only 9 minutes into the game, it was clear that he was unfit to carry on. It was a catastrophe. A man who had been a pivotal part of Villa reaching this final was out after only 9 minutes, and things seemed to be going in Bayern's favour. Aston Villa had to bring on Nigel Spink in goal, a man who had only played for Aston Villa one time before. It was not an easy task with Spink, but he bravely faced up to it. He made a series of good saves to keep Bayern out in the first half, and whilst Villa had been on the back foot, Bayern Munich was starting to grow frustrated. The teams went in at half-time level at 0-0. Little changed in the second half, with the West Germans continuing to pound on Villa's door. The defensive partnership of Alan Evans and Ken McNaught fought valiantly, keeping the opposition out, just as they had throughout the tournament, and Spink continued to seem unfazed by the big occasion. Alan Evans cleared a chance off the line, and things would just not fall into place for the Bavarians. Bayern Munich's missed chances soon came back to haunt them. In the 64th minute, Gary Shaw played a neat through ball to Tony Morley on the left-hand side. Morley toyed with defender Hans Weiner, feinting from side to side, before advancing and sending a ball across the box. And on the end of it, to tap the ball in, was Peter With. Aston Villa had defied the odds and were in front. They had just over 25 minutes to hang on and make footballing history. Bayern Munich were knocked back by the goal, and their confidence was shot. They failed to produce as many chances, but did have a goal ruled out for offside. But Aston Villa were able to hold on. The final whistle was blown, and Aston Villa were European champions. Dennis Mortimer proudly walked up the steps to lift the trophy high. A side that had lost their manager midway through the season and finished 11th in the league had defeated 3-time European Cup winners. Aston Villa's first ever European Cup campaign resulted in them taking the trophy home. Aston Villa returned to Birmingham and proudly displayed the trophy to their adoring fans. They were going to win the European Super Cup later that year, but in the quarter-finals of next season's European Cup, they would lose to a Michel Platini-inspired Juventus. Nigel Spink would go on to play 460 times for Villa, although a great deal of the team that won the European Cup left in the years after, and amazingly, only 5 years on from winning the European Cup, they were relegated. Tony Barton was sacked as manager only 2 years later. Aston Villa have gone on to win 2 more League Cups in the 1990s, as well as many impressive finishes in the Premier League. Whilst Villa haven't come close to tasting this level of European glory again, they deserve great levels of credit for what they did, not just by winning the European Cup, but also the league a year before. They won the league title against the odds using only 14 players, and the next season won the European Cup after losing their manager midway through the season. They defeated a heavily fancied Bayern Munich side, with a manager who had only been in charge of 3 months, and a goalkeeper only making his second appearance for the club. Aston Villa's European Cup triumph is a story that Villa fans will always hold dearly, but to other spectators, it perhaps gets overshadowed by Brian Clough's European Cup double with Nottingham Forest. But what they achieved by winning the European Cup is a perfect underdog tale, and it is one of the greatest stories in the history of the European Cup.